Today we're going to see how many of my Guernsey designs I can recreate in AFL 23. You might actually be surprised by the results. For the crows, I've chosen this design from my 2024 redesign video. This one actually came together quite nicely in game. The gold outline is a bit rough around the edges, but the jumper as a whole looks great in action. For Brisbane, I've gone with this design from my recent gather round video. Nothing too complicated here, as it is just a recolor of their usual design, but this one does look really good in game, and I reckon Brisbane should consider wearing this maybe as a special one-off Guernsey. For Carlton, I chose these Guernseys from my 2020 redesign video. Another simple design, but I think it looks great, especially with that old curved monogram which I've always preferred. The Clash version of this is interesting, as it's basically what their 2024 Clash jumper would look like if they actually executed the design properly. Onto Collingwood, and we've got the pinstripe version of the swooping magpie. I've always liked this altered version of the classic design, and it came together really well in game. For the Bombers, we've gone for the 2024 redesign Guernsey. Unfortunately, there isn't a red version of the Bomber logo in the Academy at the moment, so I had to use the usual grey version. The design still looks alright, but it does annoy me how close to perfect it is, without quite being an exact replica of the design. To Freo now, and another Guernsey from the 2024 redesign video. This one came together very nicely and looks great. Here you can also see my entire vision, I guess, for this kit with purple shorts that I think makes the overall design look a lot better than it would with white shorts. For Geelong, I chose the gather round concept. Again, not a particularly exciting design, but it does come together nicely in game and definitely isn't a bad looking jumper. For Gold Coast, we've got this rising sun kind of arch design, again from the gather round video. This one looks really good both up close and in action on the field. This is the beauty of AFL video games, we can finally give the Suns a half decent jumper. Onto the Giants now, and I've actually chosen 3 different designs. The first is from the gather round video. I think this one looks great. The orange looks a bit dark here, but it is a little brighter out on the field. The second design is from my GWS redesign video. Again, not a perfect replica of the original design, but one that still gets the same idea across. Honestly, I think this is by far the Giants' best option for a white Clash jumper. Our third design is from the 2024 redesign video. This one is just about a perfect recreation, and it looks pretty good out there on the field as well. Onto Hawthorn, and I've chosen this design from my recent Hawks redesign video. Just a simple yellow version of the Big Hawk retro kit. It looks good, but it's nothing too amazing, as this is one of the base designs available in the game. For the Ds, we've got this red monogram design from my 2020 redesign video. I don't have the exact monogram available in the game, so we have to put up with a bit of white ruining the design, but I think this one still looks pretty good overall. For North Melbourne, we've got this design from my recent gather round video. I really like this jumper, and I honestly wasn't sure I'd be able to recreate it in game. It's a little rough around the shoulders there, but in action it looks really good, and this is one of those ones that's pretty cool to see my design out there on the field, even if it is in a video game. Onto Port, and I've chosen the teal prison bars Guernsey from my recent Port redesign video. A pretty much perfect recreation here that also looks great out on the field. I also whipped up this alternative version of the teal bars from the 2020 redesign video. For Richmond, I've gone with the gather round tiger claw design. It's 4 scratch marks instead of 3, but I don't think we need to nitpick that much. For the Saints, we've got one of my favourites, the black version of the classic Crusaders jumper from the St Kilda redesign video. Another near perfect recreation here, and I've always loved this version of the iconic Guernsey. We've seen the Saints wear this design in both red and white, so hopefully they'll don the black version at some point as well. Onto the Swans, and I've gone with another design from the gather round video. Unfortunately, the South Melbourne monogram isn't in the Academy at the moment, so for now we'll have to settle for the jumper without the monogram, which is still a pretty good looking inverse of their classic South Melbourne V Guernsey. For the Eagles, I've chosen their gather round video jumper as well. Another one of my favourite designs here that kinda works in game. We don't have an outlined version of the Eagles text, so we've had to go without. My favourite part of this in-game version though, which wasn't part of my original design, is the outlined numbers, which you can sort of see in action here. For the Bulldogs, I went with the 2024 redesign Guernsey. I've actually managed to recreate this one near perfectly in game. That doesn't mean it necessarily looks good, as it's not my favourite design ever, but you know, there it is I guess. Now the coolest part about all of this is that if you want to download and use any of these Guernseys in your game, you can. Just go into the community search bar in the Academy and search for Matt N, and if I've done everything right, you should see them all there. Let me know what you thought of these in-game recreations in the comments below.